Hey everyone, it's Maury Mole, and today I'm discussing some Star Wars The Bad Batch theories that you might not have heard about a character you might not have thought about. Now, first of all, this character isn't really a character. She's a plush tooka cat named Lula. But since we're all waiting to watch The Bad Batch Season 3, I thought it might be a good chance to talk about one of Star Wars' most famous plush toys and some speculation and theories I have about her. First of all, some details. When we watch the series in Season 1, we see Lula is Wrecker's black and red tooka cat toy. She has very obviously painted details, such as the face, and even her red points on her ears and feet look painted. So originally, she was probably different colors and may not have had a facial design other than the eyes, kind of like Hello Kitty. Some of the people working on the show have said that there is a backstory to Lula, but we the fans just don't know it. So now for my very first little tiny theory, which is more of a speculation on this backstory. And it's that Lula was originally Omega's toy to start with. I don't have much support for this very small theory other than that Omega seemed to know what Wrecker was looking for in the early episodes when he was trying to find his missing toy. But this could also be because she's force sensitive, and that's a very common theory that I'm not going to rehash on here because it's everywhere on YouTube. But if she's not force sensitive, then it's possible that Omega was given the doll by someone else when she was a kid, maybe by Nalase, maybe another clone, as a form of enrichment, and that Omega may have given that little toy to Wrecker when he was very tiny, and Wrecker just doesn't remember any of this, and it ends up going back to Omega by the time we watch Season 1, The Bad Batch. But again, that's just a tiny fan theory that may or may not pan out as the backstory, and it's not too important. So I'm going to move on to what I really want to talk about, which is this scene from Season 2 of The Bad Batch, the episode called Metamorphosis. Because ever since I saw this scene, it stuck with me. I took some time to re-watch Bad Batch Season 2 this week, and I'm wondering even more if Lula is going to have some importance of the Chekhov kind in Season 3. So in Metamorphosis, we get to see the return of the Zillo Beast as the main story. But we also get our first introduction to Dr. Royce Hemlock, Emery Carr, and the return of Nalase, the scientist that is close to being Omega's mother figure. And this last part is important, not simply because we see her, but because she is referenced by Omega herself in the episode for the first time in that season. Omega mentions Nalase when talking about clone projects that Nala didn't want Omega knowing about. Afterwards, when the main Zillo Beast storyline and threat is over, we get a scene of the brothers discussing the missing clones who are going to this mysterious place. But that scene begins with this little scene. When the scene starts, Omega is staring down intently at Lula, with her hand on the toy's belly. The point of view of this scene lingers on this scene of the doll and Omega's hand on it. Bear in mind, this happens after Omega has mentioned Nalase, which could mean that she is thinking of her here. Now, why did they focus on this little bit here in this episode? After we've seen Nalase again and learned the scientist's love for Omega could be used to control her, after Omega herself has spoken of her. Here's what I think. That belly on Lula is looking kind of big. That was my first thought when I saw her. But I've never stopped thinking about the jewelry that Nalase gave Omega that marked Omega as being seen as a Kaminoan girl, and her status in Nala's eyes. Omega cried when she removed it in season 1, but we never saw where she put the circlet. I think this scene represented the heroine leaving her mother's home to go on her own journey, and Omega here is grieving that loss of safety that she had living with Nalase. But I don't think Omega would throw it out. I think she hid it, and I'm wondering if she hid it in Lula's belly. When Omega is looking fondly at Lula's stomach, she might be thinking of Nalase here and the treasure she has hidden within. After all, she has just been reminded of her complicated mother figure just minutes before. I also want to point out in the season finale of The Bad Batch Season 2, When Hunter wonders how he will find Omega, the point of view focuses on the gun turret where Omega was sitting earlier in the season, and once again, Lula is featured prominently in view. This leads me to an older theory that came about in Season 1, which was that Nalase put a tracker in the jewelry. We never saw anything like that coming in use in Season 1, much less Season 2, but we must remember that Nalase hasn't wanted Omega to be found as she would be in danger. But now I do wonder if both Nala and Omega's jewels are cloaked binary beacons, like what we saw in The Last Jedi. Unlike Halle Bertoni and Tan Wei, both Nala and Omega's matching mother-daughter circlets are in the shape they're ferroniers, which is a kind of circlet with a large jewel in the center. And right now, Nalase still has her ferronier, while Omega's is presumably on the ship somewhere. If Omega hid her jewelry in Lula, and both are at Wayland, perhaps Nalase can activate the beacon on hers, and that will activate the tracking on Lula, which means Lula could lead Hunter, Wrecker, and Echo to Mount Tantus, where Omega, Crosshair, and Nalase are at. So tell me, what do you think? Sound theory? Need some work? Will the Bad Batch find their sister another way? Why do you think the episode lingered on that plump-bellied Lula toy? Let me know in the comments, and may the Force be with you.